The information provided on this podcast is intended to be educational and informational only and is not considered to be formal legal advice. The listener should not take or refrain from taking action based on its content. Any listener in need of legal opinion upon which to rely in decision-making should consider formally engaging an attorney to review relevant facts in detail and examine the pertinent law as it applies to those facts.
Welcome to Real Estate Milestones, where we explore fascinating topics in commercial real estate with knowledgeable industry experts. I'm your host, Ben Malik, and I'm a young real estate professional who is passionate about adding value to people's lives through the incredible power of real estate. My goal is to help you discover what the heck is going on in the industry and how you can get involved. This is Real Estate Milestones, where your future in real estate lies just around the corner.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Milestones. Today we have Nima Zegarra, who is a pulmonary and critical care medical physician, seasoned real estate investor, entrepreneur, and co-founder and manager of Nima Equity, LLC. Harry went to medical school in Peru and finished his training in Pennsylvania and Virginia. Harry currently works at a tertiary medical center in Dallas, Texas. Harry has experience in rental properties and currently owns and manages 9 properties across the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area, and today is a general partner in 784 units in 4 different states. So Harry, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Ben, how are you? I'm very excited for this show today.
Me as well. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got your start in real estate?
Yes, Ben. Yes, absolutely. So as you just mentioned, my wife and I, we both are physicians. We actually are from Peru, from South America. So we actually went to medical school together. We knew each other for 7 to 8 years, and then we decided to continue our training here in the U.S. So we came together, and we decided also to get married before we came here. So we're very blessed that we were able to continue our training here in the U.S. Initially in Pennsylvania and then in Virginia. So my background is internal medicine and then pulmonary and critical care. And my wife is a family medicine physician. And then after a couple of years, because of the nature of our training and our work, we kept moving, right? So we came to Texas, initially South Texas. I was in a private practice. And then after a couple of years, we moved to Dallas Forward. And we really fell in love with the city. we like the area. We bought our home here, our residence here, in Dallas. And after a couple of months, we started to diving in, in real estate, into the real estate.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, could you tell us about your first milestone in real estate?
Yes. Our first, I mean, it's always your first property, right? And the reason why is because, again, so many people say you're a doctor and you always should be a doctor, and that's the only thing that you know, right? Or you're a lawyer and you always be a lawyer and nothing else, or a CPA and always be a CPA. So our first milestone in real estate is actually our first property. And what happens is that sometimes we as investors, we always try to make the best return on investment, right? And to be honest with you, our first property, we bought it through MLS. So you can imagine the return investment was probably not the best comparing to the other ones that we bought later, because we bought the rest of market. However, to us is the best decision and our best milestone, because that was the way we started in real estate. So that was very important.
Awesome. Yeah. Just jump right into it, trial by fire, and learning from that. Learning from experience is obviously one of the best ways to learn. So that's exactly awesome. Yes. Great. So, yeah, I mean, how do you balance being a doctor and also being a real estate investor? Obviously, especially during med school, it seems like it takes a lot of your time, but then as a full-time physician, I mean, I can only imagine how much time it must take to balance all this, but, how do you do that?
Yes. So, I mean, yeah, you're correct. I mean, it's not easy for sure, but you got to start somewhere, right? So, and for me, I mean, and this is some kind of advice that I can give to younger people, right? When you're still in college or in medical school, the earlier you start, the better. And this is something that many real estate investors said when you ask the question, what would you wish you would have changed? Most of them are going to tell you, I wish I would start earlier, right? So if you can start in any way, just like initially the most important thing again is education, right? Like, so just try to listen to podcasts like yours, for example, or to go to meetups or conference, or to just listen to audiobooks. It's a great way to get started. Even if you don't have that much time, it's a great way to start. I mean, like in my case, we knew already we wanted to be in real estate. So to some degree, we were able to balance our busy schedule with this real estate that for us it started like initially as a hobby, and then it became a passion, and then it's growing and growing. And now, like initially we were in residential real estate, and now we're in commercial real estate.
Yeah, that's really awesome, and it definitely helps get started early. And that's why one of the reasons I have this podcast, so I can learn from professionals and go
Yes.
down some rabbit holes and learn a lot of interesting things, and hopefully never have to say I wish I started sooner.
Yes, man. Yeah, I mean, you're way ahead of most of us. Yes, that's
Oh
great.
yeah, I appreciate it, and I hope it stays that way, because I want to take advantage of the time value of money as much as possible.
Absolutely.
So obviously, as a doctor, when you're focused on a lot of learning about medicine, and I'm sure that already takes so much time, and it's even a lot of doctors probably know that they should be owning real estate and that it offers a lot of advantages for many reasons. But sometimes it's hard as someone who's maybe not financially minded, or not don't have the business background, to think about some of these ideas. But I kind of want to ask you, as a doctor, why it's so important for you to be involved in real estate and how it's affected and benefited your life.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head when saying like we are not financially educated. That's very true to some degree. We go through training and through medical school that takes many years, and for some of us, more than half of our life we spend like in the classroom and learning about medicine, and then we finish medicine and we don't have good financial education. We're not taught about that like in school or in medical school. And then when we finish, we have spent so much of our time learning and in training that we just focus on working and trying to get ahead in life, and trying to pay down like our debts like from medical school, and trying to buy a nice house or start a practice, that we don't really focus on that. And the other thing is that people in general, we tend to invest in things that we know, or that we are familiar with, or that we understand. So most of us, the only thing that we know is, again, like the stock market or mutual funds or the 401k. But most doctors don't know about real estate. And if they know about real estate, they only know about like buying houses and selling houses or being a landlord. But there are other alternative ways to also to invest in real estate that are profitable and have a lot of advantages.
Great. And I think the really important thing is that doctors obviously have one of the highest salaries in the world, and there's always a shortage of doctors. So you mean doctors have pretty good job stability. But I feel like even with a pretty high income, when there's so much taken out of taxes and there's so many expenses in life, and then you have the student debt, you feel like it should be easy to get ahead as a doctor, but it actually ends up being pretty difficult with all these other obstacles in your way. I kind of want to know, like, how does real estate help you get over some of these obstacles that, make it difficult to really design the life for yourself that you think you're going to have when you have a high salary,
Yes. So to some degree, we are replacing our income with real estate. And that is big, that is huge. Again, like we started in residential real estate, and now we're in commercial real estate doing syndications. And the return that we're getting and the cash flow that we're getting, of course, we started like around 5 years ago. It still is not able to replace our full income, but we're on our way to do that. And this happens also with professionals who are high income earners, right? Like the more you make, the more difficult and the longer it takes like to replace your income. So, but we know that we are on the right path. And that's great to some degree also, because being able to feel that you're in the path of financial independence, it gives you options, it gives you choices. So, and to some degree, that gives you freedom to do whatever you want. And again, like then you can work because you want to work and because you like the field where you're working, and not necessarily because you have to work. And that's especially for high income like professionals like physicians or lawyers. Like again, like we spend so many years in the classrooms, and at the end, like we're what you have heard probably before, like the golden handcuffs that we need like to keep working to pay our debts and to pay our lifestyle.
Right, exactly. And it makes it very difficult to, change jobs or pursue your passion or take a break even. You might feel like you are getting work so hard, but you have to do it because there's no other option, right? If you take a month off because you need to go and I guess you want to find a new job or a new passion, who's going to put food on the table, right? It's
Yes,
kind of
yes.
cool to have that backup plan that allows you to have the freedom of choice and the flexibility in your lifestyle to, do what you want and when you want to do it. And I know that doctors are obviously very passionate about adding value to the world and helping people. I mean, saving lives is obviously one of the most important things you can do. And so I know
Yes.
that people, doctors are probably looking for other ways that they can contribute to society besides just being a doctor. And it might be hard without that time flexibility. So I kind of wanted to
Yeah.
know like how that, how has real estate allowed you to explore some of your other passions, and what are some of your other passions besides real estate, and like, how has it allowed you to be with your family and like that?
Yes, yes. So one of the important things that have helped me with real estate is has change in mindset, right? Like so now I know I have options, and now again, like I can think about going to work because I want to go to work, because I want to continue being a physician, because I like, as you're saying, because I like to help people and like to heal them, tend to try to help them and their families too. Now I don't feel the pressure again, like I need to work, I have to work, and all of those bad feelings that when you're still trapped like in your job, right? So that's important to me, and this is very good.
Yeah, definitely. And so I, as someone who, or I guess when obviously we've spoken a couple times about this, that the lifestyle can be very busy, especially in medical school. But what are some strategies, and maybe even what are some resources that people can use as, to start thinking about their financial future while they're still in med school or in college, trying to balance a really busy schedule?
Yeah, you can always like again there's plenty of information out there, like in different websites on YouTube. Like actually we like in my company in Nima Equity, we have like a YouTube channel with small tutorials about residential commercial real estate. There's audiobooks, again, like when I started in commercial real estate like 1.5 years ago. You can imagine I read all and I did all the audiobooks. You can imagine like the one for Michael Blank, Joe Fairless, Hunter Thompson, Rich Dad Poor Dad even. So you can do that in your spare time, and you can just use your headsets and doing some workout and doing things like at the same time. And I know that when we're in college or when we're in medical school or doing other training, we're usually very busy, but we can always find time when we're doing that, right? Like when we're in the commuting, or when we're in the metro and the bus, or like again, or when we're doing exercise. So there are good options like for you to get started and to learn more about real estate.
Yeah, that's definitely what I do. Whenever I cook my breakfast and I cook my lunch and I cook my dinner, I always have
Yeah,
a audiobook or a podcast plugged in my
yeah,
ears, and it's like, look, I'm literally doing two things at once. I have to eat, but then I also
yeah,
get this awesome information. So
yeah.
definitely great advice there. And so as someone who's in medical school or soon to come out of medical school, what would be the most important things they have to that they should think about or set up in their life before exiting to make sure they're on the right track for financial freedom and a financial future?
Yeah, so one of the important things is again to take care of your debts, right? So if you have debts with an interest rate that is very high, you need to take care of that first, right? Like then when you finish medical school, you're gonna get like into a higher paying job, right? That you may go into residency, and then you may go into practice. And sometimes what happens is that we change our lifestyle and we start spending more. So like usually what many people recommend is like after you finish medical school or even your training, the residency, just to continue with your current lifestyle and start saving a little bit more so you can plan for the future, for your future and investment, right? Like so that can put you ahead a lot. If you leave medical school and start buying like a super nice house or cars, I mean, like and let's be honest, we deserve that to some degree because we have spent so much time like learning and doing sacrifices like to become physicians. But still, I think it's very important to delay these things in order to think for the future.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know we touched on it for a second earlier. we mentioned the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and
Yes.
in most of the episodes of this podcast, people have mentioned it. It's obviously one of those staples of financial education. But I want to touch on the thing. I want to touch on the thing that's related to what you were just saying. That the main point of Rich Dad Poor Dad is the difference between assets and liabilities, right? Where like a car is not an asset, right? It's a thing, but it doesn't make you better off. It doesn't contribute to your wealth building. But an asset is something that pays you cash flow even when you're not working. And so you need to have that balance. So I mean, my plan is for every car I want to buy, I'm going to buy a property that pays for the payments for that.
Exactly.
But definitely, right? But so as a doctor, can you kind of when I talk to my doctor friends, I tend to be way too technical, and because I know a lot about finance, and I'm really financially passionate. But could you kind of put it into perspective for someone who might not be as has as much of a background in finance?
Yeah. So like, again, like a liability is something that loses value, right? And doesn't give you money. Like you gave a very good example, right? Like, so you mentioned like the car, you buy a new car, and the second you take the car out of the dealership, it loses 20% of its value, right? Well, your primary residence is something a little bit controversial, right? Like, because like historically we had thought like a house is an asset, but a house, it doesn't produce any money for us. I mean, it provides housing for us, which is great, right? But it's not producing any money for us. And actually, we sometimes show with my friends in saying like, oh, like my house is like a black hole, because we are always doing like projects and investing in my house and changing like the light bulbs or a door or things like break, right? Like, and again, we keep pouring money in our house, and really, I mean, it appreciates. So it's going to become an asset at the moment when you sell your house, right? Like, but in the meantime, is taking your money, right? So we should you make a great point. So we should try to invest in assets that can pay for our liabilities or for our lifestyle, right? Like you mentioned that perfectly. If I want to buy something really nice, or if I want to go on vacation, or if I want to do something, I better invest in something that can produce that cash flow, or that return on investment, where I can use that money to do these things that I want.
Right. Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And if you even think about it, if you're putting all your money in a stock portfolio or a retirement account like that, obviously at the end of, you're not going to be able to be a doctor forever. I know it's a lot of physically tolling, you're on your feet all day. Eventually you could become too old to actually unfortunately, to continue doing what you're doing. And even if you are not too old to do it, maybe you're done. You don't want to do it anymore. You want to help the world in a different way. And I think that's really important, because if your money's all in the stock market and it's just going up as the market goes up, if you wanted to retire and for some reason that was a recession and your money wasn't cut in half by the drop in the market, you're in big trouble, because you thought you had $1 million, you thought you had $10 million, now you only have $5 million, which is a lot, whatever. But
exactly,
and then the thing is, once you take it out, then you're just spending it, and then it goes to zero. If you own a piece of real estate, now when you retire, that doesn't drop with the market necessarily. And even if it does drop, it's still paying you the same rental cash flow. So now your retirement plan is an actual thing that pays you every single month. And when you pass on, it's going to start paying your offspring, versus you just spending your entire investments and just depleting it. So I think that's the most important way to think about it. And I think that, if maybe real estate is not your thing, maybe it should be, but you think there's any other ways to produce cash flow that might be more in line with the medical field, that people who, we talked about, you invest with what you know. Is there any medical equipment or medical asset classes that you think would be something that some medical students should look down for in terms of producing cash flow?
Yeah, in general, like I am a true believer of you need to be diversified, right? Like you shouldn't put all your eggs in just one basket. As great as real estate is, I mean, I am a big believer of real estate and I love real estate. I still think we need to be diversified. So like having a little bit of your money in the stock market is not a bad thing. It's actually like a good or responsible thing. the fact that we don't control that, and the fact that we don't have any really clue of how that works actually, because sometimes we can hear good news and the stock price goes down, or bad news and it goes like the other way around. I mean, we still don't understand that. Like we try to think we understand that, but we really don't understand, but we still tend to invest in that, right? So the diversification is one of the important things. And the second thing is, again, like to get educated. There are other assets out there that can also bring cash flow. I mean, like, I'm not an expert in this, but for example, ATMs are a great asset for investment for any person. And you can start even with investments less than in syndications, right? There's other like energy and oil you can invest. There's kind of similar structures as syndications for multifamily that also may have tax advantages, right? Like, and I also just want to go back like to the point where you were mentioning, like, again, like we're not going to be young forever, right? Like, and if anyone in this moment is listening like to this podcast that is like in medical school or like in law school or anything like that, you can hear from me, like when you are a physician, for example, you need to work nights, you need to work weekends, you need to work on holidays, you need to work on your birthday or on your family's birthday. I'm not sure if everyone's going to be able to do this forever, but it's something very difficult at the end, right? So that's why you need to start thinking about your future and your investments, right? And you need to start about thinking and diversifying too.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. And as a finance major, I learned how to evaluate stocks, and the way the stock market works, it's just doesn't, like, even the skills of doing it doesn't tell you anything. Yes. The fact that news articles affect the stock market, how much it actually does, is like no one can say that they're an expert and know exactly what's going to happen. But in real estate, as long as whatever happens, it's still going to be paying you. And if it gets burned down, there's an insurance plan for that. You got your back protected. But definitely want exposure to multiple asset classes.
Like the important thing, in, for example, in multifamily, is that you have control of your cash flow, because again, you go to a property that is not completely well managed, and you do renovation, you make the business more effective, right? Increasing revenue and decreasing expenses, and you increase your cash flow, and at the same time you increase the value of your asset. So that's what I really like about like commercial real estate, because you have a lot of control.
Right. And as someone who's a doctor who probably likes to add value to the world, I mean, I think it's so important. The place that you live is more than just a building and a place where you sleep. No, like, it helps a lot to like where you are and to enjoy the things that your home provides you. Like, this is where you spend every single day of your life, or almost every single day. So it's, I think,
human necessity. Yes.
Right. So what I think is that, people might think that real estate is about making money. I really think that the best way to make money in real estate, and also I think real estate is the best way to add, or a great way to add value to the world, because you're making someone's day. You're making someone's day better by creating a better place for them. Maybe they don't want to go down the street to a laundromat, but you give them a washer and dryer in their apartment. And, that's a simple, small thing. It could be super helpful for, especially with someone who has a lot of time or has a lot of constraints on their time. So I think that,
that's very important, Ben. Like, and you mentioned like this mission about like not just seeing this as a business. I mean, I also see this for example, that we are helping other people, right? Like, and we're making the economy move, right? Like when we buy a property, everyone is winning, like the broker, like the appraiser, like the constructor, like the property manager, the lender. We're moving the economy, and we're also trying to provide a safe environment for good people to live in, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that another thing that's pretty interesting that I just remembered is the fact that a lot of people like to have investments in case of the worst thing happens, in case of a disaster. And I want to know kind of how being positioned in real estate might help protect against that, because especially with, medical can become a huge expense for the wrong thing, or if something bad happens. So kind of want to know if, how that real estate affects or provides safety for you in that sense. And then also
So one of the things that I usually compare real estate is with the stock market, right? So we're humans, and we are very emotional. So what happens when the market goes down 5 or 10%? People get very anxious, right? Like, so what happens when it goes down another 5%? It gets more anxious, right? Like, so what do you tend to do? You're emotional and you tell to sell your stocks or all your investments. And you don't know, like then like later it's going to come up again and you may have lost some money. In real estate is different because real estate is not always liquid. It's not a liquid investment, right? Like, so like in order like to get your return on investment, you need to sell your property. In houses, in single family houses, it may take like a month and a half to 2 months to sell your property. In commercial real estate, it takes longer. So you cannot take an emotional decision, right? Like, so, and if you're like upset or anxious about like a crash in the housing market, then you're trying to sell that very quickly, but then it's going to take a couple of months, and then like the market may start going up again. So you have that kind of insurance for that.
Right. And so I know some people here might still not be able to totally wrap their heads around real estate, but they understand the advantages. They're like, okay, I'm convinced, like, real estate is great. How do we do it? I know that you provide a service for people like that. Can you kind of talk about Nima Equity and kind of how you help your mindset of being a doctor really is able for you to help people in the situation to really set themselves up for financial security in the future?
Yes, thank you. So as we were talking, like we initially started in residential real estate, and a year and a half ago we decided to switch to commercial real estate, and now we partner with other operators, experienced operators, to buy big apartment complexes, and we help private investors. Of course, you know, like my background is a physician, so I usually bring physician investors to these investment opportunities, right? Like, so it's called like syndications, and it's usually holding a property for a couple of years, improving like the management of the property, as I mentioned before, increasing the revenue and decreasing the expenses. And at some point that will make a good return on investment. So that's what we do. It's called Nima Equity, and as in Nancy, IMA Equity. And but we also are very big and on education because of what we just discussed before. So we also have our YouTube channel, and we have our 7-day passive doctors investing course that anyone can get it. So like, again, like we love real estate, and we love to talk about real estate, active and passive, residential and commercial. And I always say, like, if you guys want to talk with me, just to chat in general about that, if I can give any recommendation, more than happy to do it.
Awesome. That's great. And then, okay, so we got a lightning round. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Oh, okay. Yes. I'm back in medical school. All right.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. All right. So first, what superpower would you want if you could choose any superpower?
Superpower. Yes. I mean, I would say like from the Marvel Universe movies, like Doctor Strange, right? Like who's also a physician too, right? Like so he has the power of cloning himself, right? Like and being like in multiple places at the same time. So I wish I could do that, right? Like and be a physician and also a real estate investor, and with my wife and my kids at the same time. Yeah. So that's one cool thing that I would like to do.
Awesome. So what's your favorite book, or what's the one that helped you the most?
My books. It wouldn't be fair if I would just mention one, but in general, like I would think like the three most that I love is like Rich Dad Poor Dad, of course, The Richest Man in Babylon, and also Goals by Brian Tracy. So there are three books that I really love.
Awesome. Yeah, those are good ones. What motivates you to continue every day?
My family. So like sometimes we lose perspective in life, and don't see really what is important to us, and sometimes the most important things are free, and we take these things for granted, are the most important ones. So like every day, like I wake up and see my wife and my kids, or in the afternoon or at night when I come back from work, and they're just coming back to me like and saying, "Daddy, I love you. Daddy, how has been your day?" It just makes my day, right? So that's what is my why and what motivates me the most.
Awesome. And right. So since I put you on the spot, I want to give you a chance for revenge. So ask me anything you want to know about me.
All right, man. what is your one or two goals? Not necessarily in business or professional, but in your personal side in 5 years from now.
Yeah. It's funny.
Like I put you in the spot.
Right. It's funny because I think a lot about my life and my business in congruency, because I think my business is the way to live first of all, my business and things I want to do are my hobbies. And I really am like interested in real estate, and I really want to play the game of real estate. Right. So it's like, it's more that like I will get enjoyment, satisfaction from investing in real estate and from doing the things in the business sense that I want to do, like creating businesses, networking, and talking to people. Like all these things give me energy and make me happy. I definitely in the future want to get to a point where I have a lot of like my passive income is at a level where I can take like a 1 month sabbatical and just take a time for where I can just relax and, kind of take myself out of the world and just kind of, have the freedom to be where I want and do what I want, and not really have to be confined to anything besides my responsibilities to my family and the people. Like, I'll upkeep my responsibilities for sure, but be able to, take a break and come back stronger and be able to be more productive after. So that's definitely, I want to have that freedom to travel and make it, and maybe seclude myself somewhere in the world, somewhere beautiful.
Cool. That's very cool.
Awesome. So great. Well, I'm super happy to have this episode because I have a bunch of my best friends, the people who I live in my house with, and my best friends from home a lot of them are going to be doctors. So I really wanted to create this. Yeah, right. I want to open their mind to some of the power of real estate and some of the things that they should be thinking about. So I really appreciate this. And I think that this will be incredibly valuable. But I wanted to know if there's any final remarks you wanted to leave for the audience.
Yeah, no, I mean, that, as you're saying, is very important to plan ahead for the future. I mean, you're doing a great thing, like starting so early in life, and like I'm sure you're gonna do great. And again, like, thank you so much for having me in your show. I really enjoyed that today.
Awesome. Thanks, Harry. It was a pleasure to have you. And I'm super happy we got to do this. So anyone who wants to reach out, where can they find you?
Yes, again, like our website is Nima Equity, NIMA equity.com. And we also have our YouTube channel for education, like in small tutorials about commercial real estate that I'm going to pass you the link, and you can find me there.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. And everyone, I hope this episode is filled with tons of value. I'm pretty sure it was. And keep making milestones. All right. Bye-bye.